everything that is today possible for a legal professional to do, which is I have done, I have practiced in the courts, I have worked as a senior associate and designate partner in law firms, I have been general counsel in large Indian and multinational companies. And I think it has been a journey of gratitude, a lot of learning, not only from lawyers, but non-lawyers. And of course, awakening to a lot of things, Navneet, that you talked about right now, giving the example of Gandhi, Jinnah, and others, and how they stood up to difficult times, situations, etc. So, at the same time, I think that after so many years of being in the profession, I turned 57 in September. I still think that if 10 years from now, if you were to ask me to join a session like this, I would, I would which students in them all individuals um, me and over to the next person in the alphabetical order.
Anybody? Sonia?
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me. And I am Sonia Nigam. I am an advocate on record in Supreme Court. I graduated in 2007 and I've been practicing mainly in Supreme Court and Delhi High Court. I also travel to various other high courts for my clients' matters. I also appear in different tribunals and I am also recently promoted as associate partner in law firm Karanjawala and Company. And I'm a first generation lawyer, and the topic was very intriguing for me also. And as a law student, we did not have these questions and such webinars to guide us. So today it will be very insightful even for me to have views from everyone. And I will also have provide my endeavor to give little bit insights to the young lawyers. So thank you again for having me.
Our pleasure.
Shujat?
Hi. Firstly, thanks for the opportunity. I would introduce myself as a student of law since last 25 years. I happen to be a qualified company secretary and a graduate in law and masters in arbitration. But from an industry standpoint, I've been a career in-house counsel since last 25 years across variety of industries. IT, professional services, manufacturing, environment. Currently in renewable energy sector, and was leading governance, legal risk, compliance, ethics, policy, regulatory, ESG as a overall framework. And apart from the routine stuff, I actively participate in a lot of thought leadership initiatives by working with various institutes, ICSI, CII, and so on and so forth. And my passion is to share, insights and learn from the young students, mentoring and all that stuff. So that's something which excites me. So when this opportunity came in, I was more than happy to share whatever best I can to the young lawyers. Thank you. Navneet, you're.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Shujat. Vasantika made the mistake of meeting me somewhere and saying hello to me or sending an email to me by mistake. And then few hours later, she was president of ILA Bangalore. You regretting meeting me, Vasantika?
No, I'm certainly not. Uh, Actually, next time you come to Bangalore, I want to catch up with you again. And I know you don't like to talk, and you were like, "Oh no, she likes to talk." So introducing myself,
And
pretty
so
much
forth. And my
like
passion is
Amitabh, I
to
think I've
share,
also done
insights
almost
and learn
everything
from the
that
young students,
a lawyer
mentoring and
could
all that
have
stuff. So
done.
that's something
So
which
I'm a
excites.
97 graduate from Government Law College in Mumbai, and I started with Desai Diwanji. I did property, I did litigation, we did corporate, and then I moved to the courts where I was a counsel. I was in the chambers of Snehal Paranjpe, who's Rafiq Dada's junior. Many who are in court practice would have heard of, Rafiq sir. So, and then I moved to Bangalore. I didn't know Kannada then. So I realized that I can't handle litigation because though courts work in English, you must know the local language to find your way around. So so I eventually moved in-house. So I've got almost 30 years of practice because I started at 96 in Desai Diwanji. And then, so when I was in-house, I worked with mostly tech companies. 1 year was Cafe Coffee Day, but I was the GC of a lot of companies, M&A, regular business. And then my last stint was at Concentrix, where we got acquired and became Concentrix. So then I ended up also seeing how it is to be acquired. Until then, I was on the acquiring side. So that was a very interesting experience to take your company through the sale. And then I set up the global compliance and data protection office. So, pretty much like Shujat. So I used to ESG, FCPA compliance, your global, and global data protection requirements. So I did all of that globally. And then about almost, yeah, 2.5 or is it 3 almost years back, I finally bid goodbye to the corporate world, and I'm now in my own practice. So I'm the founder and managing partner at Arnava Legal. So given my background, um, our focus is corporate commercial and data protection tech laws. I also I think we need more lawyers who understand tech law, data protection. Because I was there, I did GDPR. I have a. It's very natural that DPDP, is something that was easy for me to grasp. So I do a lot of teaching especially for LLM students. I teach DPDP and AI governance and things like that. So that's another thing that I do. But basically, so Arnava Legal is what I'm trying to grow right now. And this, is, I really wish we had this kind of forum when we were young. I'm a first gen lawyer myself, and I had absolutely no one to guide me. And I came from such a strict chamber where my senior used to even forbid me from going to a solicitor's office, because as a counsel, we're not supposed to solicit even, that much work. So I had some friends who were solicitors, and they used to say, "Hey, come." And then I used to go secretly because my senior will scold me. So that's how, it used to be then. But we have to grow business, so we can't solicit. I imbibe that, but the only way to do it is network and so many other things, and have forum like this. So thanks to Navneet, to bring ILA and set it up here. And he loves to challenge status quo. So I like that. And I think this is a very important kind of a conversation we need for juniors for today.
You reminded me of my father, who 45 years ago in one summer I said, I want to learn typing. And he said, what, you want to become a typist? And told me, no, I can't learn typing. This is before the computer stuff happened. And without telling him, I went and learned typing, which turned out to be the best thing ever. Alap, how's life? Tell us about you.
Hi. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the opportunity. Hi, just by introduction, my name is Alap Yadav. I'm a 2007 pass out from National Law University, Jodhpur. And I think for the law students, obviously, you started with IPR honors, and I got a pre-placement offer with Nishidasai of, associates. I joined their IPR team. However, at that time, IP was not that big, right? So effectively, you transitioned, or the corporate team picked you up because the IP work was not so much. So you were effectively doing due diligence. So I think by virtue of that, we can very well figure out that irrespective of the stream that you might have mastered, you can dabble into something else as well. So in Nishad I think I worked for close to 7.5 years in mergers and acquisitions, the transaction team, joint ventures and private equity. And
6 years and 11 months.
Close. Yeah, sorry.
I was given a copy of everybody's LinkedIn profile, so I thought I'd
Sure.
pick on people.
No, no, of course. So I think the thing that I mentioned, Baker Hughes was when I was Nishad Desai, and I was basically seconded with Baker Hughes for close to 9 months. And that is the time when I got the exposure of the in-house work where it's not advisory and it is primarily implementation of the advice that we give. So that was very exciting and challenging. Post which I moved to Lodha, which was not a real estate. While it is a real estate organization, I was working primarily in their financing and international department for their projects, including branding and Palava as the city which has been brought up. So some bit of IP, technology, branding, and then automatic transition towards the entertainment and then Sony Entertainment. I've been with Sony Entertainment for last 8 years now. And yes, it's exciting times in the sense that at least the industry is something that I really enjoy. And it has been a full transition from M&A private equity to a proper media in-house role. But being interested in the creative field, I think this industry kind of excites me. That's in short my introduction. And thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. Looking forward for the discussion.
So, without naming any names, what's the craziest thing a Bollywood star has ever asked you to do?
Sir, I think their contracts are nothing contractual. It's everything crazy. They will ask, okay, I don't want somebody in my vanity band, right? And they want you to write it in the contract. I mean, like that's just operational. You don't want to get into the contract. So it's
Right,
pretty much fun in terms of people get eccentric once they reach a certain level. And obviously creative people are to a certain extent. So that's exciting to see.
right. So we do some Hollywood, Bollywood work,
Yes.
and I had a client once who liked to lose a lot of money, had a lot of money to spare, and uh, Hollywood has a hierarchical structure.
That's correct.
Uh, first we're gonna steal money from people outside United States. Second, we're gonna steal money from people outside of California. Third, we're gonna steal money from people outside Los Angeles, and then some ethnic, racial stuff that happens in this world. So I remember attending a meeting at 8:30 a.m. at some fancy place in Hollywood. And there were 15, 16 people in the room, a round table, and a new project was starting. And so with every Hollywood project, the revenue and expenses and net is clear on day one. The expenses are going to be $140. The income's going to be 100, and somebody's going to have lose $40. And who's going to lose is depending on who has a good lawyer or whatever. So I don't know. I was fed up that morning after a long commute. So I sat down, they served coffee, and then somebody started the meeting at 8:30. And I said something I probably shouldn't have, but I said, okay, I guess we're all here. So who are we going to screw today and this time? So and nobody knew each other. So
Of course.
for somebody like me to show up there, a minority, and to say things like this, but everybody laughed. Everybody knows. So
Of
there is
course.
a book written on Hollywood accounting, Alap. See, get a hold
Yes.
of it.
Sure.
And in the book, the summary of the book in one sentence is that the rest of the world defines net profit as expenses out of revenue and then net as the net. In Hollywood, there's several different definitions of net profit.
Okay.
Yeah, net
Interesting.
profit after this, net profit after before this, net profit before and before and after this. So you remember that 15, 20 years ago, Paramount made a movie and it had $1 billion in box office. And
Yes.
then somebody needed to get paid 1% of net profit and they showed him a report, net profit was zero.
It was
So he
zero, yeah.
filed a lawsuit. So all of the discovery came out. And so the whole world came to know of Hollywood accounting. But it's
Yes.
very interesting. So then you know when somebody's arrived in Hollywood, this is what they do. So Steven Spielberg, his contract is the simplest. I don't care about gross income, and I don't care about your net profit, and I don't care about your expenses.
Just
I
details.
need 17.5% off the top.
Of course,
After
of
that, you
course.
figure out who's doing what and how 82.5 is getting divided. So for your Sony picture, start this new drama. 17.5
Sure,
off
sir.
the
No, for
top.
sure. I think good call on Steven's side, but I wanted everybody has that negotiation for to get that in their contract. But yeah, we will try for sure. Thanks for the
Yeah.
insight.
So that worked for him. So then you know what he did next? If
Yes.
I am actually producing the movie, then my share, the slice off the top is 25. And if I'm
Mm.
not producing the movie and you just want my name, then it's 17.5.
Oh, wow.
That's when you
That
know you've arrived.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay. People are gonna wonder at Sony, what happened to Alap this week? He's shown up different.
I wish, I wish. I would love to
Ra
for sure. Yeah.
Rajiv, and these youngsters, oh, by the way, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. So a lot of people will be watching you and there'll be questions and we'll share the questions as we have we have several ILA employees, volunteers on the call. Swati and Shruti and Shanti is the executive director and Ritwik. One of them's monitoring the other channels for questions. Rajiv,
Hi, Mr. Chu. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. It's such a pleasure to be here. Really nice to hear these wonderful stories and meet new people and also to see some familiar faces. I see a fellow Hyderabadi, Shujat sir is here. And it's very nice to see familiar faces. And of course, it's always a pleasure to be on the same panel as Mr. Chok as I have before, having been with ILA for the last 3+ years now. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rajiv Rambhatla. I'm currently a partner at Lothra and Lothra in Hyderabad. I'm currently heading the firm's Hyderabad office, and I primarily specialize in commercial disputes arbitration. And having been in Hyderabad, I tend to dabble with some amount of real estate matters, but primarily focus on disputes. So yeah, that's in a nutshell about me. But just to share a little bit of my journey, I haven't started my law school as early as some of the others on this call, but I'm about 11, 12 years into the profession now. I graduated in 2014 from Christ University in Bangalore. And ever since I've had a little bit of an interesting journey. I call myself an accidental litigator. Reason being, I started off as an in-house counsel straight off the bat. I had the opportunity to run an NBFC called Shrey Equipment Finance back in 2014 in Bangalore, which was a position as a management trainee legal. And it was a campus placement that I took up. And I was very excited. I was a bright-eyed kid straight out of law school, hoping to make a difference in what I thought was corporate law at the time. And being enamored by the term corporate law throughout law school, as most of us have, it sort of took me in that direction. And very quickly, in about 6 months, realized that in order to be a good in-house counsel, I should have probably been a counsel first, and I should probably learn the basics of the profession. And with that in mind, I went back, or rather, I went to a law firm for the first time, where I started doing transactions. So the first 1 year of my law firm career was doing transactions, and it was at that firm that I started working with the litigation partner accidentally, and after that, I sort of decided to pivot and pursue litigation full time. And after that, I had another stint in house, which was again the second stint with a company called Toyota Kirloskar Motor while I was based in Bangalore. I happened to have my first experience in the automotive industry working with an in-house legal team. I know Amitabh sir is here. He knows the ins and outs of the automotive industry now, but having seen it up close in person, I sort of advise a lot of automotive clients even now and tend to sort of use that experience that I've had since Toyota and post Toyota to help my clients get the best possible results. So yeah, that's been my journey. After that, I went to a law firm called KSK, which brought me back to Hyderabad. I was heading KSK's office, Hyderabad office, for about 8 years. I need to be a little careful in the timelines. I know Navneet sir has my LinkedIn profile, so it, it could be 7 years and a few months, but I'll round it up to 8 because that sounds better. But yeah, and the last 2 years I've been with Lothra and Hyderabad. So yeah, that's about me, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to today's discussion.
Thank you, Rajiv. I only have the LinkedIn profiles. I look at them once to see what questions to ask and what's kind of relevant for that person, but not to nitpick on your timings.
I was just making a joke.
So what happened to your Vishakhapatnam thing? Are you still shuttling? What was your deal with Vishakhapatnam?
Yes, yeah, so I'm originally from Vizag. Vizag happens to be my hometown. And I remember around 2020, we got in touch, and you were kind enough to appoint me as the president of the IRA chapter of Vizag, and I still hold that position, and I still keep shuttling between Vizag and Hyderabad. Not as much as I would like now, because my work has kept me busy in Hyderabad last couple of years. But Vizag is still hometown. I grew up in Bangalore, but Vizag still where my roots are from, and it's a place that is very close to me. So I keep traveling every now and then. And yes, I haven't had the opportunity to do as many things as I would have liked for the I Live Visakhapatnam chapter. But Navneet sir, I think in coming times we'll ensure that that chapter catches up with the other chapters as well.
All we want from you, Rajiv, is one thing, and that's it.
Yes.
And that is to find a president-elect. The best organizations, the nonprofits in the world, nonprofit membership organizations, the best thing they do is that the president doesn't do anything, just make sure that the ship is sailing and is kind of the chair, and the president-elect does all the work. And then when the president-elect becomes the president, then they don't have to do the work and they get somebody. So just find us a lawyer, president-elect, and you're done.
Got it, sir. On it.
So Shujat, you've done a lot in life. And so 10 young students show up graduating in this month, and they show up at your office. And all of the 10 of them have only one goal in life, and that there are 1.9 million lawyers in India, and 10% would be 190, and 1% would be 19,000, or whatever number like that. And they want to become the top 1% of lawyers in India. And somebody tells them there's one guru who can give them advice how they can get into the top 1% club of India, both in terms of recognition and money and output and input and contribution in every which way. What is your advice to them?
Oh, so now need one question again. I'll ask them. I mean, looking for in-house or the legal practice. Of course, that is the first question I will definitely ask them. Because answers can be slightly different for both the in-house and the external. But nonetheless, I would definitely tell them that, I mean, today while we are supposed to be expert at the law, and there are some conventional practices, I would definitely urge them to look into some of the emerging areas. Today we're all talking about interdiscipline subjects. When you're talking about law, we have these emerging areas like the AI and AI governance. We're talking about data privacy is coming up, ESG and sustainability, climate law, environment, and a lot of fintech. So I will ask them to, I mean, do you want to really explore into some of these emerging areas, so that how do you be different in terms of the other competition. So I think through, and I would really ask them to see what are the areas which they want to learn. Today most of the students will be like, okay, tell me an area of practice which we can get more money, right, or more recognition. While that is there, we can talk about emerging areas and all the stuff. I would urge them to see what is it you are passionate about, because naturally which will come to you, I mean, that will be there. And when you speak to some of these young lawyers, some of them are really good in technology, some like ESG, some like fintech and all that stuff. So that's one aspect which what I would suggest. And secondly, I think as we all know, I think apart from the law, I think understanding the business first, understanding the industry, understanding the sector, right? I think that's most important, as lawyers, right? I mean, some of the legal skills are not basic. I mean, it is given. Everyone expects you to be, knowing, and more so in the era of artificial intelligence. I think it's not the retention capacity which people look for. They look for some of these extra elements, what value you are bringing to the table. So things like building network, relationship building, and trying to learn through a conventional and unconventional ways as well. For example, I tell a lot of students, apart from learning in the college, what have you done from internships? I mean, try to do something on your own. I was there at National Law School, Bhopal. There I was suggesting the students, I mean, while there are standard internships, try to go around and work with the courts, work with some senior advocates, even go to the police station, understand all facets of the law. So then you will really know what exactly you want to do, and you will get some real life stuff. So I mean, I'll share some of these aspects, and encourage them to attend programs, conferences, so, competitions and all. So it's not to restrict to the conventional way of learning, but learn from people, learn from network, build relationship, and of course focus more on the thought leadership. Today it's very important to be visible. Whatever you're doing, people needs to know about that. So start thinking about some articles, do some research. Of course, the students will be overwhelmed. Most of the times will be like, sir, let me wait. The list is long, because you keep tend to tell that boss, read the books, read the biographies and all. So I do say that, see, I mean, these are all the list of the things. Naturally, you need to go back and see where you are good at, where you need to work upon. Have a learning path, short term, medium term, and long term,
You
and
you're
move on.
you're very successful. What's the biggest reason of your success?
I mean, firstly, I would say that I'm a student of the law and I'm just continuing my journey. I don't really think that you're successful and all. I would rather say that I'm happy, content, and the learning and sharing journey is going on. I think that's the way how I would define. And a lot of aspects which I've shared, I think I try to follow. The one bigger thing which I definitely feel is that be a student and be a learner, and at the same time share your knowledge and give your inputs. The fact that I try to participate some of the programs and all that stuff is because to teach someone you need to learn. So that makes me excited, always. And
So what do
I
you
what I
do?
read,
What do you do on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis to continue learning?
I think I daily spend some time to know what's happening across the interdisciplinary subjects. So spend time more on the learning part. And every week, most of my weekends are either in some seminars, or I'm teaching some law students and all. And that really motivates me, because I have to learn, I have to teach them something. So that actually helps me. If I need to talk about renewable energy to some forum, I need to learn myself. If I need to talk about AI, in fact, recently I just designed a course, 3-day certificate course of AI for company secretaries. To design that, first of all, I had to spend a lot of time learning it. So I benefited. So I think creating a win-win solution so that you benefit, your ecosystem benefits, everyone benefits. So that's the approach. I think creating a win-win situations will help you to be successful is what I would summarize now, Nith.
Okay, good. You'll be getting a call from Shanti. She's going to be scheduling a AI webinar, thanks to what you just said, and you'll be getting an invite. So Sonia, on an average, there's a manager at EY. There's somewhere between 5 to 20 employees working under a manager. How many in your team?
So the teams are many here. I work in a team wherein we have a strength of 6 to 7 as of now, but it varies depending on the workload we have. And I have also worked with a team of good 15 to 16 people. Currently, I'm in a team including myself of 6 to 7 people.
And majority of your employees are B grade and a few A?
I don't call anyone B grade or anyone A grade.
I
There is
thought
no
I'd put
grading
you in
system.
trouble at EI on Monday.
Pleasure would be mine. But grading, I think,
Well,
yes.
worldwide, the statistics are employees are 10% C, 70% B, and 20% A. So I don't need numbers from you, but who gets promoted in your group and who gets a better treatment and recognition? How do you make that call?
There are various factors to look at that criteria. Now, if there are in a team, I will not pinpoint my team. I'll just hypothetically create a team over here in this platform. There's a team of 7 to 8 people. Now, out of those 7 to 8 people, there are 5 people who keep themselves busy throughout the day. You will see them running around from the printer to their desktop, scheduling meetings, checking the websites, typing something, drafting, on calls always. And then there are three or four people who are also busy, but then they come to me and they say that, yes, this is done, this is done, this is done. And I have also made a call. And I think this judgment, which has been recently passed by Supreme Court, is very good in this case. We can make use of this. Or that the opponent has filed a case and this can hit the client's interest. So we should have a strategy. So the point here is that productive and busy are the two things which differentiate and distinguish between people. If I keep three people in a conference and they attend 7 to 8 conferences and they say, "Oh, my day was productive," I don't call that productivity. I would call somebody's day productive who has been in 2 conferences and has been a value addition. Just being in a conference and attending and increasing the attendees is not productive and will not become visible in a long run. Second factor which I will look at is taking initiative and being proactive. It is not that if I'm giving instructions, okay, make this briefing note for the senior counsel, and the person has made the briefing note and given to me, has not proofread, has not checked, has not fact checked, has not even cared to provide citations which research the person could have done. But whereas there is another person who has come to me and said that, okay, this is not a very strong case for us, but maybe we can maybe we can put more strategy into it to come out of this weak area. So proactiveness, initiative is another factor which I'll look at. Third is that the person is coming with solutions, not just with panic-stricken face. Okay, what do we do, ma'am, now? This is a problem we are facing now. How do we come out of it? Or somebody who will come to me and say, "Ma'am, maybe this is a strategy we look at. These are the 3, 4 things which we can find our solutions, and we can discuss with the senior. We must inform the client." So the visibility increases on 3, 4 these counts instead of, so there is a difference between optics and visibility. What I have seen here is that what many people do, they believe in optics. Becoming visible, out of sight, out of mind is the motto they believe in, but that is not the game changer. Game changer is visibility by providing work, quality work, consistent work, proactive work, initiative, risk taking, and also perseverance and persistence. So I think these are the factors which I look at.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
Amitabh, what's your advice to lawyers that are starting a practice and want to have a very good practice in a 5-year span of time, both from a money point of view, from social point of view, contributing to society point of view, taking care of India point of view? What's your advice?
So, Navneet, my advice is that, in 5 years, if you want to be where Steven Spielberg is and can take 17.5% if he's not directing or producing and 25% when he's producing, then you have to do one hell of a lot of, hard work, groundwork, and networking and all of that. But I have 4 things that I tell, and I speak to a lot of young lawyers, Navneet. So I tell them 4 things, and those are generic. Because those I think are the foundational, basis of excellence and foundational basis of success. Success is something that may or may not come to you, and then that is a bit philosophical, which I'll come towards at the end, which is, after I've spoken about the 4 things that I say. So I will tell them that the day you start and on a daily basis till you succeed, whether it is 5 years or 10 years, you have to tell yourself that you are in the pursuit of excellence. Because in a professional services like the law, which is, knowledge based, which actually gives to you competency and edge and all of that, if you're not in the pursuit of excellence, somebody else will outshine you. So on a daily basis, compete with yourself in that pursuit of excellence. And how do you do that? I mean, you have to be committed to being the hardest worker. I was watching some interview of a very successful, investment banker, and he was saying, "I am not a genius, but the only thing I can do is that I can outwork anybody." And this is what an, you know, Alap may endorse that even Shah Rukh Khan says something like this, that, I'm here and I'm reigning like this because even today you know, at the heights of my success, I will outwork anybody. So hard work, and to do that with integrity, professionalism, and with a growth mindset. As Shujat also said, that we have to keep learning on a daily basis. We have to keep learning. We have to tell ourselves, is there something that we've learned today that we can improve doing tomorrow? So that makes me better. So that's about the pursuit of excellence. The second thing, and I think I should tell young lawyers, and I do that all the time because I see that people, students who've gone to fancy schools, they somehow build an idea of what work is worthy of their stature and their background and their education, and what is not. And in my experience, I have learned that, if you offer to do any work, whether it is, a small thing, going to the registry, figuring things out in a court, even if it's not substantive and nobody's treating you like a Harvard professor where you can, give that yarn, even then, that is a great learning, which as a young lawyer, you will realize maybe 5 years down the line how critical it is, because it helps you connect the dots. And then therefore never ever say no to any work, never um, treat any work assignment beneath you, because that's, in my view, extremely critical. The third one is that I believe that individual success is a myth. Nobody in the heart of their hearts will be able to stand up and say, or look in the mirror and say that, look, even if nobody had helped me, nobody collaborated with me, I would have been as successful as I am today. So I think that the essential ingredient of becoming successful is understanding that success will come from collaboration, from the right set of partnerships, from the right set of interactions. And then for that, you have to be open to collaboration. You have to be open to lead. If you create a vision that you can get other people to follow, even that is collaboration. And I think that if you can take along people with you, and then if the work is divided and all of you are thinking on similar lines, as they say, vectors in the same direction, then the chances of success are the highest. And then I think that is something that I always emphasize. And I think somebody said, Shujat also said, and I think Sonia also mentioned that eventually in this profession, and I think in every profession, what is it that people are looking at you for going to you? If people are coming to you, they are expecting you to add value. They are expecting you to solve a problem for them. And if you're not able to do that, then they're not coming back. So how do you do that? I mean, growth mindset is one of the things, because you're constantly learning and you're imbibing and you're processing, and therefore you know that if this is a situation that you had handled earlier, because of what you have learned, you can do better this time, and help somebody solve their problems in a better way. So the ability to add value also is deeply embedded in what Sujat earlier pointed out, that whether it's your client, you need to understand your client inside out so that you're able to add value. Because just like the Hollywood example you gave, now there are so many different definitions of what net profit is, which means that different people are looking at whether value is being added or not differentially, right? So you have to understand what your client thinks of how value is added, and in order to do that, you have to you know become a psychologist kind of a person, step into their shoes. This is one thing I learned at one of the law firms, that if you want to be a good law firm lawyer, you have to step into the shoes of the client. And then unless you do that, you're never being able to think about what is going to add value. And similarly, if you're an in-house counsel, then you must understand the business deeply, and you should see how you can add value to the business. And finally, I think that, um, in order to be successful in this profession and maybe in others as well, you have to have ownership. So it is not just because I'm a lawyer, I give you an idea and you go and execute it. I think it is important that or I should put it this way, that people who succeed are the people who give the idea, who create the platform for taking it forward, and who ensure that the idea is executed to the success that they had envisioned earlier. So these are the four things that I will tell them, Navneet. At the same time, I will say, look, um, just because you wanted to be successful in 5 years, it doesn't mean that you will be successful in 5 years, because what you have in your control is the input, the hard work, the willingness to do any work, the desire to collaborate and the desire to add value and all of that. But what is not in your control, and I often quote the Gita on that, it's what is not in your control is the outcome. And oftentimes people are tested. I mean, Amitabh Bachchan took 7 years to become successful. Somebody else, Shah Rukh Khan took maybe 6.5. But Akshay Kumar took more. So the timelines could be different. But if one follows these fundamentals on a regular basis, then at the end of it, one is bound to succeed. And I think that success in itself undergoes a transformation in one's eyes as one grows older. Success is not just about money, power, influence, etc. Success is about how you can spend your time, whether you can do work on your own terms or not. So everybody may at the end of or at a certain point in their journey decide as to what success means for them, and whether what they are doing to get that success is good enough or not. I have known people who have been at the top point of success in terms of name, money, power, influence, etc. And they've quit and they've gone to spend time with the family or do something else. So I would also, the last thing that I tell them, and all of this I have been telling myself for these years, and I tell my children now, is that irrespective of how good you want your life to be, it may not always be like that. Don't they say that life is not a bed of roses? So how do you deal with those situations? And this is something I picked up from somewhere, which I have, on a daily basis, I implant in my mind, which is to say that try to bloom wherever you are planted. And with that philosophical note, I will say, if you have any questions, and then I get into, a lot of not questions, but as an executive coach, I try and see what they think their strengths are and how they could channelize without me telling them, you do this, you do that. If we figure it out within ourselves that these are the possibilities for me and we should go for achieving them, then that is the road to success with all of these four ingredients, Pratik.
Thank you very much, Amitabh. I'm sure our young audience will be very happy listening to this great advice that they can actually put into effect. Let's talk about these youngsters that Amitabh was talking to about. Get into your client's head, and if you're in-house, then focus on the business. So, Alap, you worked with or you work with a lot of young lawyers. Um, they finish high school, then they finish law school, and I don't know if they're taught in law school all these soft skills of writing and speaking and bedside manners and emotional intelligence that Amitabh was talking about. So, if some of these young lawyers come work for you, what are you going to do to instill in them within 5 years that they can become trusted business advisors? Mute.
In addition to what Amitabh sir has already mentioned, and so is Sujat and Sonia, I think if we really talk about in-house lawyers, effectively having a commercial mindset, emotional intelligence, as you rightly pointed out, and adaptability are three things that I feel is something that is required because in in-house role, unfortunately or fortunately, you are not really working towards a particular stream of law. It is anything and everything, right? And in that case, an industry keeps changing and evolving. So I personally feel that if you are agile enough and you can adapt to the situation, figure out what is the new business model, read, obviously, and also because you have to deal with so many people with finance team or commercial team and otherwise, you need to have emotional intelligence to understand human behavior as to what is expected out of that room. There are certain things which are unsaid or not even written down when the discussion is happening, but you have to just sense it and work towards it because it's a project collectively. So I think what I will instill in them is basically make them work on certain projects and keep asking them as to what is not only the legal aspect, but what is their point of view? What is the next step that one should do? And that is what I even do today. There are a lot of times, the kids end up saying that, okay, this is the commercial table, this is a pro rata refund. I don't understand the numbers. I don't want to get into it. But we really insist upon understanding that because you will not be able to craft the language of that particular provision till the time you've really understood the repercussions of it. So I think these are my two bits on it.
Okay, thank you so much. Later on, we'll have advice from Amitabh for you, Alap, on how you can become General Counsel of Sony.
So it will really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Vasantika. So let's carry on with this 5-year journey conversation. Some young lawyer has started a practice and calls you for advice. They just set up their practice and they want to become successful. What's your advice to them, besides everything we've heard so far? Mute.
Standard problem. So we've had great inputs and thoughts, and I echo pretty much everything. So one thing that I find, I don't know if it's with everyone or it's the current gen, but they're just fresh out of college and can't recall laws that they're supposed to have studied. Just yesterday, I was telling someone specific relief act, when does it apply? And he's like, I studied it in some years back, and he's just graduating. He's waiting for his results. So, and many of these things are, remembering what we studied. I was not the type who used to really slog it off I used to spend time in the library, but because all my friends were there. But I basically remembered what, everybody used to teach. I used to, even if I was doodling, whatever, pay attention, learn. What I realized is if you want to find a solution, we need to be able to understand the entire legal framework. And the only way we'll be able to do that is when you're able to, recall all what applies. So you have to know, sometimes you just don't know why you're studying certain acts, but everything matters. It's all useful. The more we study, the more we learn, the more it's going to help. So somebody who wants to build their practice has to know that one, if they have to understand their client, they need to give them a solution. So they can't expect the client to be told that, hey, these are your various options, and then, go figure. So you have to be able to tell them what is the best. Obviously, we will not make their decision for them, but being able to give them with in a more practical aspect of to help them make that decision. So for that, we need to be able to see the big picture. 5 years may be a stretch for them to be able to do that. Some people, I'm amazed, there are some firms which are so young. I mean, the partners are so young and they seem to have the maturity. I wish I had the maturity when I was that age. But for most of us, it comes with experience. We've been there, we've done so many different kinds of transactions, seen things evolve in a different way, and we are able to take a step back to know that it takes all sorts to make the world. So even if someone has promised, it may not really pan out the way it's going to. So one, understanding that solution, seeing the big picture, being able to demystify the law for your client. Your client will not be able to understand if you speak. Two lawyers will talk and we'll have a very productive conversation. The client may not understand a word of what we spoke, and for us it's something very simple. But so being able to demystify the law, and then obviously your reputation is going to precede you. The only way you'll be able to build your practice is by having clients. And how do you get clients is by building a network. So, it's very essential to um, go out there and meet people, keep meeting people, and not necessarily lawyers. Obviously, you meet lawyers, you can, you get referrals from each other saying, hey, you do something, I don't do that, take this. But your source of more clients will be, happy clients or friends and, companies that you've worked in. So I worked in so many companies, and almost I had 28 years when I came out, and almost every company that I have, not almost, each and every company that I have worked with has referred at least one client, if not more, to me. And that's how you build because it's your reputation and your network. Important, stay in touch, not because you expect something, but you just now we have so many options. We have LinkedIn, we have WhatsApp. It doesn't hurt to just be there and keep in touch and keep building your network. If you join any networking group, there are plenty. You must keep showing up. People need to remember you for you, so you get that work. So I'm out there hustling, so I will keep talking of this. But that's a very important part of building practice. Even a junior who may think that, hey, I'm in a firm and my partner will send me work, so all I need to do is, it's good to have a senior partner who's going to give you work and ensure you're taken care of. But you have to think further down the line. I want to build my own practice. Can I build my own clientele? And how do you do that is by being able to build your own network and have people coming to you and approaching you. So that's also a very important part of how we build that. And that is not only for a practice. I also saw that when I was in-house. Concentrix, the last place, was an ocean. When you're in these huge companies, people need certain help, and we have to solve the problems because you're so first I was the GC of multiple companies, and that time everybody knew that there is only one big boss. Concentrix, I had a 60-member team, and total legal was over 100 people strength. So people would keep being lost in the legal, so many vice presidents, whom do we go to? And but I managed to network within the company so well that everybody knew when they need to reach out to me. Most people, they would know that, hey, go to Vasantika, she'll fix this for you. So, and I used to be the odd job person because the regular contracts was one, and then I had the compliance. So if you're not having a contract problem, everything used to just, come into my bucket, and it's some legal issue. We need to find a way to comply and fix that. So that solution mindset, networking, that really works both in-house and externally, so that's a very important aspect that we have to do, while we are also focused on doing good work and keeping in mind that we are ultimately lawyers, so we have to be true to the law.
Like Woody Allen and Groucho Marx would say, 90% of success is just showing up.
Absolutely.
That's very true. So Rajiv, I have a crazy question for you. Imagine 25-year-old Rajiv, you, sitting in the audience today, and you have a couple of minutes to advise him, your old 25-year-old self. What would you say to him?
That is indeed a crazy question. Thank you for that. Richard. I wasn't expecting that, but I think the only thing I would tell myself is to be patient and to believe in myself, because I think that was something that I wish I told myself earlier. But yeah, I'd ideally just tell myself that much, because I know that that's exactly what the young lawyers right now at that age, at, let's say 24 or 25, need to hear. Because I think, as Vasantika and others have pointed out, while there is a lot of talent in the law students that are passing on now, that we have noticed that certain say skill sets or certain abilities, I think, which could be better imbibed by just having self belief, or just by believing in the basics. I think that has sort of been missing. Like, for example, we were just talking about the importance of networking. And I very strongly believe that, your network is your net worth. And especially in our profession, I think it's really important that law students understand the importance of that at a young age. At a lot of conferences, I meet law students, and I encourage more law students to attend conferences, to meet people, network on LinkedIn, because I get a lot of feedback from students. They say, I'm just a fourth year student or a third year student. What would I do at a conference? Or even on my team, and I sometimes ask associates to go out and meet people or join me for meetings. They say, sir, we're just an associate. What do we do there? Or what is it that we can gain? And that's where I think the importance of networking, or the importance of knowing people, the importance of making connections cannot be overstated. And that is what I think we need to sort of explain to the youngsters, to understand that it is these connections that you build that will essentially be the sort of gatekeepers for you in your profession as you move forward. For example, I didn't know the importance of connections, or just the importance of people around me that I had when I was in college, my seniors or juniors. I didn't know that, or I didn't rather have the vision at the time as a 25-year-old me, so to speak, to think that 10, 15 years down the line, some of my classmates would be in-house counsels, would be my clients, or would be collaborating with me as other law firm partners, or things like that. I didn't realize that the profession is as small as it really is. And I think that is, I think, the most important sort of advice I would give myself, and also to young law students now, is believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, because if you don't, nobody else will. So that's I think the most important thing.
Very nice. Thank you, Rajiv. So we have lots of questions, and we want to cover lots. Sometimes there's a lot to learn just from the questions. And we have questions from Jammu Kashmir and army officers and this and that. So let's try to cover as many questions as we can. Um, we try to shift to Q&A after the first 60 minutes and devote the next 15, 20 minutes on questions. So let's see if we can answer our questions in 1 minute, so we can cover a lot of questions and keep people happy. So Shujat, we started with you, the question. So I'll start the first question with you. Crazy questions, all of you. I don't know what's happening today, but here's the first question. Shujat, some of them are asking by name, but some are not. Okay, Shujat. Is it acceptable that many young lawyers earn less than an Uber driver during their first few years?
No, I mean, I would, not make that kind of a comparison of any profession with other. Okay, again, it all depends on, what practice you choose. And at the initial years of the career, I think it's not the money as the only aspect of it, right? I mean, it's the quality of the experience which it, right? As Amitabh rightly did mention about the all kinds of work to be done, dignity of labor, and also I would, put it in that manner, that not to compare these aspects, but rather, see what meat you're adding to your profile in initial 1 year or 2 year, rather than comparing yourself to other friends and all. I think that's my personal take. Yeah. Even a lot of articles you see of comparing the same with software engineers. You never know what challenges they are going to face. So we can't compare apples and oranges. So I think I would strongly urge the students not to make that kind of a comparisons, but rather have a tangible and intangible valuation in terms of how they're building their profile, how much of experience they are going to earn. Because it's like bamboo. I mean, it grows eventually. What you are doing initially in 1 to 2 years, it will really help. I mean, I started off with my career, for the 500 rupees as a stipend long back. Right. I mean, at that time, I would have never thought, okay, that, I've never compared myself to a, daily laborer and all, this same composition. I don't think so. That's the right way to compare. That's my take. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Sonia, which path should I choose? Litigation, law firms, in-house counsel, or government service?
One moment with that. Pursue academics, if somebody wants to. So the journey starts from the law school itself, I believe. Now we have the privilege of having internships, more internships. Now after COVID, we have virtual facility also. Not that the students have to go to law firms or chambers or corporate offices physically. They can do so many internships. Why internships are important during the law school itself is because I would suggest that law students should take up internship, even if they come from litigant family, they have lawyers who are practicing lawyers. They should have internship even in a corporate house. They should intern even under a senior as well as in house, because I might have parents who are lawyers, though I don't have, but my interest might not be the same. Though I have the benefit and privilege of having that legal understanding and that environment at home to provide me that on a platter, but my interest might not be same. If I'm interning in a corporate house, I will know whether after I graduate, do I see myself in a structured, well structured setup wherein the salary is coming very nicely. It gives me immediately after stepping out in the profession a nice fat paycheck, and I am seeing more myself in negotiation, closing deals, and all. Or if I'm doing internship in a law firm wherein I see that okay, I see around lawyers who are working there that how their day looks like, that they spend their day in a courtroom, and then when they come back they have conferences lined up, then they have briefs to read, they have to prepare for the other day. So am I prepared, am I okay to see myself after I step out? Do I want that adrenaline rush in me, or do I see myself in an in-house wherein I am working on a matter on one brief, even though the variety is a lot, the subject matters are a lot, and I take it slow. I go very deep into that subject matter. I go into more research into that. There are no deadlines to be met, and even though I am not having the uh, courtroom environment, I am more focused into taking it, understanding the subject matter. So, my advice to law students would be to take up as many internships as you can while you are studying law. See where you stand, and even if you have did not have that benefit of doing internships and you have already graduated, it is okay. It is very much okay. Don't take the job just because everybody else in your college has landed into a job and you do not have anything. Take whatever comes your way, but see if it fits you, because after years you should not have that regret that maybe I was very more suited to that, and you would have wasted your time in understanding the nuances of law, or in understanding the nuances of negotiation, or seeing your career path where you see yourself, if not after 5 years, after 10 years also. Because gradually, it is not an overnight thing, it happens gradually, consistently, and continuously. The learning happens, every experience adds up to that.
But I'm in a rush, Sonia. What
So, sir,
can you give me a shortcut here?
Sir, rush can only lead to accidents, because that also happens when we are driving in a rush. So my advice again would be the same, that rush is the urge which comes to us even now after spending so many years in the profession. Rush sometimes comes to us also. I have to fast track things, but that is not how the way it is. It has to follow its own pace. And one more thing I would want the law students and even the young lawyers to imbibe in their daily thing is, one is legal analysis. We tell the students to do legal analysis of a case. Of course, that law schools have also taught us. But what I want young lawyers to do is also analyze what happened in a court matter. Did they do right? What they could not have done? What they could have done? Next time, if some situation comes, what differently they could do? So analyze that. Step by step, they will see themselves better from first year to second year to third year. And I'm sure they will not regret the choices, because consistency will remain in their to rescue them.
So, Amitabh, this is a very individual question, but because I'm sure, lots of people in these same shoes, I'll ask. Um, I'm Abid Amindar from Jammu and Kashmir. I have been jobless for 4 years. I've done BA LLB Uttarakhand and LLM from NLU Lucknow, and I take care of my parents, and I'm searching for a remote job. How do I find one?
So the first thing I'd like to tell Abid is that, the only thing that I have learned
If you call up So I'm so sorry. Call अभी भी चल रहा है. 12:30 तक I'll call you back. 12:30 it will be done. Thank you.
So the
Yeah.
only thing I will tell, this gentleman from Jammu and Kashmir is that um, the legal profession is the only profession, and the legal, education gives you that strength never to have to be unemployed. So I I would say, I would urge, I would encourage that, instead of looking for a remote job, there are courts in Jammu and Kashmir. Please go practice. Please do something. I mean, how should I put it? I'm deeply pained that we have somebody from our fraternity who's in that kind of a situation. But please go out there, see how is it that you can integrate into the judicial community, into the legal judicial community there, see what work you can offer. Lawyers get paid for tasks that they do, for their time, for, things like that. And so far as remote working is concerned, if you're not inclined to doing what I'm suggesting, you'll have to think of what kind of remote work you could do. Is it legal? And if it is so, then you have to position yourself online, because remote is going to be online. So I understand that there are platforms like Upwork and a couple of others. And if you connect with me separately, I think I'll let you know what other, at least there's one more apart from Upwork, which allows you the opportunity to do remote work by putting out there what your skill sets are, and if there are any people who need work to be done by people of certain skill sets, then they can reach out to you. So I mean, it's a tough situation, but these are the two things that immediately come to my mind. First, let's not play victim, please. Let's go and do justice to the education that you've had, because you can go earn. And second, if circumstances are such that you can't do that, then Upwork and maybe similar other platforms could help you put out your skill sets for people to look at, and then help you monetize your skill sets.
Good. Thank you. So, Alap, question for you. Looking back, what was the most important decision you made in your first 5 years?
Mm. First 5 years, I think the important decision that I made in the first 5 years was not limiting my knowledge base and the exposure, uh, irrespective of the stream that you were put into. And if you were asked about any particular area of law or work, you just accepted it, did the mistakes. Obviously, you do feel underconfident because you have somebody who is aware of that particular piece of law, right? So if it is FEMA, you might not know about it, but just don't be scared. Don't compare yourself with anybody else that, oh no, he knows better, he will do better. It's a learning curve. So just don't limit the opportunities that you're getting, because the first 5 years are what is going to define as to what you will eventually become, because your personality traits, for example, you're a great orator, right? You might be wanting to be a good litigator for that matter. Somebody who's deep diving into, research, they might just want to be an academician even after doing law. So I think in the first 5 years, just own your skill set, allow all opportunities with open hearts, just accept it, work towards it, and you will find your path.
Very good. So, Vasantika, question for you. By the way, if any of you ever go to Bangalore, please meet with Vasantika. She is the best baker in the planet and does wonderful breads and cakes, all from scratch by hand. So,
Yeah, breads and sourdough bread.
sourdough bread. Okay. Yeah, I'm still waiting for my sample, Vasantika, but that's okay. Question for you. So many questions. Vasantika, predict the future in 2035, 9 years from now. What will successful lawyers be doing that unsuccessful lawyers are not doing?
So that will begin now, in my opinion, especially because we're seeing AI coming in, and the younger generations think, they will use AI to draft, they will use AI to answer their questions. And when I started drafting, it sounds very dramatic, but our firm did not have computers. Like we had, after I joined, I remember maybe about 6 months later, we got one PC per table. So I was sharing a PC with the friend who was working next to me. So I used to draft by hand. And I used to remember Mr. Negandhi, the partner I used to work with, saying that, in 84, we did this. And then this year, this week, go find all those files. I used to go to the place where all files were stocked. I used to climb up, pull out old files, and I used to draft by hand, get them typed, check it, and then get it vetted. And then we used to go through that procedure before it went out to a client. So obviously, kids of today will never have to do that. They have to learn to do better. But the point is that if you just depend on AI to draft your contract, you will never know what was missing in it. Now, people like Amitabh, Shujat, even you and others here, the moment you see a contract, you will know what is missing, what is wrong. You don't need someone to tell you that, because it's so, it's ingrained in us, because we have created each of that from scratch. If they don't learn to create their own drafts and be able to understand what all can go, do everything. So those are the people who in 2035 will be, will be able to handle, a matter the moment something comes. They know what to expect, what to predict, etc. Those who get lazy and depend on aids like this will always remain at a second or third level, who will, always continue to be, continue to assist. So if you need to get there on the top, you need to be on top of your game. And the only way is that, use your natural intelligence, use AI to supplement it. I'm not saying don't use AI. It's a very useful tool, but AI should be a useful tool to help you, should not substitute your fundamental, learnings, your knowledge, and your practice. So those who want to get there, we're looking at people from 0 to 5 years now. In another 10 years from now, you want to be partner, or you want to be at a, maybe director, legal, etc. You should be able to, understand the big picture and be able to handle these things, whether you have AI or not. So building that skill, I think, for the current generation is a very important differentiator from those who will rely on a chat GPT or Gemini or Claude.
Which one's your favorite?
Um, I like Claude. It's a little overrated though, and you can handle only on a free one. You get only one, one prompt. So, but Gemini is good too, and I like Notebook LM if you want to summarize a document, and it will not go beyond that. So I use a mix and match of tools to help me.
Wonderful. So Rajiv, there's a question for you from Sampath. Rajiv, I served in the Indian Army for 18 years and corporate for 23 years in a big company, retired from it as head HR, operations and legal compliance. Then I started my practice before the district court and high court. I have a few clients also, but the atmosphere in the courts is not encouraging for new lawyers like me. What should I do?
Uh, Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Chuk, for reading out that question. It's a pleasure to hear about you, Mr. Sampath. Wishing you the best for your practice. I'm sorry that you've had that experience where you felt that the courtroom wasn't, the best environment for you when you started out. But I think as young lawyers and also fresh lawyers coming into the profession, I think it's important to have an open outlook and try and see how best you can also fit into the courtroom system, especially if you're trying to fit into the traditional private practice and the traditional litigation system. of going to courts every day and working with a senior or having your own independent practice. It is a bit of a learning curve, especially in the initial days, especially if you are a first generation lawyer and are trying to build your own practice and establish your own presence. It is I think a bit of an adjustment period before you can actually be comfortable with the environment that you're in. It really depends on the location at which you're in as well, and depends on your local bar and the environment there. But having said that, I think what it is that you can do is you can try and network with your colleagues at the bar association, maybe try and make some connections and see how best you can leverage those connections into making the environment better. And I believe that as and when you keep meeting and interacting with people, I think the environment will only get better. I'm not sure if there were any specific concerns that you had with regard with regard to the courtroom environment. I'd be happy to address any specific concerns. My email ID and contact details are available with the IRA team. Please feel free to put Mr. Sampath in touch with me. I'd be happy to provide any other specific guidance that he may need. But I think overall, sir, if you're just able to keep an open mind and continue networking with people, I think it should make things easier. And definitely, we hope that courtroom environment in the years to come is much more welcoming for everyone, and it makes people, feel at home. And I think that's what we need to drive towards.
May I please add to this?
Of course,
Yes.
Vasantika.
Yeah. So I also get a feeling from that query that the person is obviously very senior. So and I think these things honestly matter. When I was a counsel, I know I looked so young. And when there were seniors on the other side, though I had a very solid case, just because a senior came, the judge, said we need to, give, respect to the fact that they're so senior, so you give them an order. So, but if you're so senior and you walk in, the expectation of the judges and everybody is that you're somebody very senior. Maybe you come from somewhere else. Possibly you should also just conduct yourself like that. And if you don't know your way around, please find good court clerks who will, ensure your file moves around and who know, who can help you through that process. So then all you have to do is go argue, and that may, make a difference. So possibly there is, how you deliver, how you argue, and all of this, because the moment someone sees so senior, they just expect something else. So if you're new and you fumble like a junior, they will not be so forgiving. And a good court clerk good will also help you when you go and, argue in the court. So possibly that could help. Please consider.
Okay, wonderful. Let's see if we can cover 6 questions in 3 minutes, which means you get 30-second answers. Instead of not asking them, I thought we'd ask them with short answers, lots of questions. So Shujat, we'll start with you. At what point should a lawyer start viewing themselves as a business person and not merely a professional?
No, I mean, as I was mentioning earlier, if you're working for either in, the corporate clients or in the in-house, I think from the beginning itself, because at the end of the day, we're trying to solve problem and, giving some solutions to the client. So I think we need to start with the business mindset, from the beginning is what I would say. I would not say that, you need to wait for a couple of years and so on and so forth. If you're working, for a pharma client, I mean, understanding the pharma business part of it and what regulation applies. So I think you need to think like the business guy from the beginning is what I would feel. And even when I work with my colleagues on the contracts, I don't say just review the contracts from a legal angle. You're helping a business to make a transaction, be it a procurement or any other stuff. So I think from the beginning itself, I think that business mindset is definitely needed, particularly for the the corporate environments and all of that stuff. Of course, if they're doing a civil or a criminal or other practice, I don't think so. That's the stuff there. Understanding the client, that's more important. But otherwise, for a corporate practice and in-house practice, I think the business mindset should be there from the day one. Is what I feel. That's my view.
Good. Sonia, why do some lawyers become very rich while equally intelligent lawyers struggle financially their entire careers?
I can put myself in that category probably. So,
Okay.
so, so it again, I think everything, this entire conversation boils down to something which I'm also beginning to learn every day, and everyone, especially young lawyers, should learn. Networking is not just going and greeting people. Networking is not just putting up posts on LinkedIn and sending festival greetings and all. Networking it can also start from the school, law school itself. When we are in a school, we are not in an environment of lawyers around us. When we graduate, we take up law stream, but we should connect with our school friends. They are not lawyers; they are our potential clients. Even in law schools, everybody don't ends up in litigation. Some becomes an in-house counsel, again a potential client. Some become GC, some enters into corporate, or some altogether take up their business, family business. They are all potential clients. So the key night to find business through right networking, understanding the client's interest before the client calling you, making the client lazy. That client is in good hands. Client knows, oh, my matter is being looked after very well by Sonia or all of us. So uh, client will always give me more work. It is not about finding new clients. If I have a good clientele and I'm keeping them lazy, I'm providing them everything. I'm keep timely updating them about what is happening. I'm telling them what all judgments are coming, which can affect their case, or something, what the strategy which we need to look at. Client will be very happy, will be more happy to give me more business. Second factor, I think, which we should look at is that clients are also now becoming very aware after COVID, because now they see courtrooms through virtual. They understand what the other side is representing their client, and what their counsel is doing for them. So there, the client. I'll just take one more second. I know I'm eating into the time. I'll just take one example, that whenever we have to inform a client, okay, this is a matter related to mining issue. So certain list of senior counsel's names come to our mind. We inform the client. But when it is related to some IBC issue, another set of senior counsel's name come to our mind. Similarly, I think clients also know, if like I do lots of mining issue cases. But if I go to my mining issue client who does not have a new case related to mining issue, has a case related to consumer protection, will not give me. So I think we all need to understand that we have to understand the client well, and not just hardworking, persistent, and everything will not help in becoming rich.
Okay, Alap. Is the
Just want to add
glamour?
one thing. I'm
Yeah.
tempted to add something. See, it's not in the law profession. Everyone, in doctors, I think even in the actors and everywhere, I think you have some people earning more or not. I think the key is that what they add is that extra. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that extra element, right? And at the end of the day, people who put that extra effort and build that brand, I think get that premium. So I think that's not only for this profession; is applicable all across. Not all IITs on the same. Not all IMs on the same. That's the same, across all the professions, including a hairstylist as well. I think that's the way how we need to think through and add that extra brand value and extra effort. I think that would definitely, pay a way for that premium what we want to earn.
Very good, Shujat. Alap, the question is not very good, but the question is the glamour associated with corporate law justified? Corporate law and in-house counsel justified, or is it overrated?
I mean, it can be answered in multiple ways. To be honest, what are you comparing with? Are you really comparing it with the money? Is it about the stress? So,
Don't you
in
think you're a better lawyer than all these other practicing lawyers because you're in-house? You don't
uh,
think that?
I'm a good commercial lawyer, I would say that for sure. But do I have the same depth of legal knowledge in terms of the same case analysis, the number of on one particular item, they would have host of case laws to you know.
Opportunities for young lawyers.
Yeah, that's actually the toughest. I think that, and I'm not sure if that is within the remit of the law minister or not, but I